The stars outside the ship's window looked calm, but inside the diplomatic cruiser, the air felt heavy with tension. Humans and aliens were working together now. But not everyone was happy about it, especially not the royal princess of Zelthor, Princess. Celia sat straight in her seat, her silver-blue skin glowing softly under the lights. Her golden eyes scanned the human engineer who had just entered the control room. "You are late," she said coldly. Ethan Cade scratched the back of his neck. He wore a simple flight suit, his dark hair messy and his sleeves rolled up. Princess got held up fixing the oxygen filters. Celia narrowed her eyes. "You are part of a diplomatic crew." "Show some respect," Ethan shrugged. "Respect doesn't fix broken systems, Your Highness." The Zeltharian guards standing near the door flinched at his tone, but Celia raised a hand. She had learned enough about humans to know they were informal. Still, something about this human annoyed her. It was too casual. It was too confident. They were heading toward the neutral zone for peace talks. It was supposed to be a routine mission, just show the galaxy that the two species could work together, but space didn't care about politics. An hour later, the alarm screamed. "Warning! Unidentified object approaching, the ship's AI." Blared, everyone rushed to the control room. Celia arrived first, followed by Ethan. The view screen showed a fast-moving cloud of rocks and meteor storm. "It's large and too fast to avoid. Shields at 40%, someone shouted. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Lights flickered. "We need to evacuate now," the captain ordered. Ethan didn't wait. He grabbed the emergency escape pod chart. "Princess, this way." Celia hesitated. "I won't leave my crew." A direct hit shook the floor beneath her. Ethan caught her before she fell. "Your Highness, we don't have time." He pulled her toward the escape bay. The ship groaned around them. Flames erupted in the hallway behind. They stumbled into the last available pod. The doors slammed shut. 3, 2, 1. The pod launched into the dark, spinning sky. When Celia woke, she was lying on the cold floor of the escape pod. Her head throbbed. The hatch was open. Outside, the ground was gray and rocky. The sky was purple. Two small suns hung low in the sky. Ethan stood outside, scanning the area with a handheld device. "Where are we?" she asked, stepping out slowly. "No idea," Ethan said. "We crash-landed on a small moon. Oxygen's thin, but breathable." Celia looked around. The landscape was empty, silent. The stars above seemed too close. She crossed her arms. "Where's the comms unit?" "Broken. I tried to fix it. Antenna's fried." Celia frowned. "Then we send a signal. I already boosted the emergency beacon. But it could take days, maybe weeks." Her expression darkened. "So we are stranded," Ethan nodded. "For now." They spent the rest of the day unloading supplies. A small shelter pod was half crushed, but Ethan managed to fix it enough for them to sleep inside. There were emergency rations, some power cells, and a few tools. Night came fast. The cold was brutal. "Keep the heat inside," Ethan said, as they sat close inside the shelter. Batteries, not unlimited. Celia wrapped a thermal cloak around herself. She kept her distance, sitting across from Ethan. "You saved me back there," she said softly. Ethan looked at her. "Didn't think I'd let a princess die, did you?" She gave him a quick glance, then looked away. "I underestimated you." "Human." He gave a small smile. "Name's Ethan, by the way. Princess Celia of House Veltari." "All right, Celia." She looked shocked. "You will call me by my full title." Ethan smirked. "We're stuck on a moon. I think we can drop the royal act for a while." Celia gave him a glare, but deep down, part of her agreed. The next few days were hard. They took turns gathering rocks to reinforce the shelter walls. They boiled water from underground ice using makeshift filters. They set up a fire pit using dry alien moss Ethan found. Though they argued often, they also began to talk. Celia told him about her royal training, about how she was being forced into a political marriage after the mission. Ethan told her about Earth's lower colonies, about how he lost his brother in a mining accident on Europa. She listened. He listened. And slowly, something started to shift. One day, while gathering food samples, Celia found a strange purple fruit hanging from a vine. It smelled sweet. Be careful, Ethan warned. We don't know what's safe. I know. How to test alien fruits, she said with pride. She took a small bite and smiled. It is safe. Delicious, actually. An hour later, back at the shelter, she collapsed. Ethan rushed to her side. Her skin was pale. She was shaking. No. Hang in there, he said, searching through the medkit. He injected her with an antitoxin and used a heated blanket to keep her body temperature stable. Her breathing was shallow. Ethan stayed up all night watching her. By morning, she stirred. Ethan. He let out a breath of relief. You scared the hell out of me, princess. Her voice was weak. I made a mistake. You nearly poisoned yourself with alien grapes. She gave a faint smile. Thank you for staying. I told you I wouldn't let you die. After that, something changed between them. They began sitting closer at night. Celia didn't correct him when he called her by name. Ethan started asking about her home world, not just the politics, but what her skies looked like, what songs her people sang. She told him in return. He told her about Earth's rain, about the smell of fresh soil, about oceans and sunsets. Their hands brushed once while passing a tool. Neither of them pulled away quickly, but neither spoke of it. One night, as a cold wind howled outside the shelter, Celia asked, Do you think they will come? Ethan stared at the fire. Hope so. But if they don't, we'll survive. You. And me? You sound certain. I've worked alone in space before. I know how to build, how to stay alive. She looked at him. I was raised to lead armies and give speeches, but none of that helps me here. It helps me, he said quietly. She looked surprised. Why? Because you didn't give up. Their eyes met. For a moment, the fire between them felt stronger than the one on the ground. Then Celia stood quickly. We should rest. Tomorrow. We search for the signal relay. Ethan nodded, hiding his thoughts. Right. Rest. Out. But that night, neither of them slept well. Outside, the stars watched silently. Morning came slowly on the strange moon. The sky was still purple, and both suns were low and weak. Ethan woke early, checking their shelter's heat level. The batteries were dropping. They had enough power for maybe 5 more nights. Celia was still sleeping, her silver blue skin covered in the thermal cloak. She looked peaceful now, not like a proud princess, but like someone real, someone close. Ethan stepped outside. Cold wind hit his face. He turned on his scanner and began searching for anything that could help. Maybe a crashed escape pod, maybe a part of their broken ship. He walked for almost an hour before Celia's voice called behind him. You should have waited for me. Ethan turned. She stood there, breathing fast, a pack on her back and a light weapon at her. Sighed. I didn't want to waste daylight, he said. She walked beside him. Next time, tell me. They walked in silence, scanning the land. Sharp hills and broken rocks stretched for miles. After some time, Ethan spotted something shiny sticking out of the ground. There, he said. They ran forward and found a small broken pod half buried in the dirt. It looked like one of the auto supply drones from their ship. Inside were a few useful items, some food packs, a small solar charger and a signal booster unit. This could help the emergency beacon. Ethan said, his eyes lighting up. Touch the device. It will take time to connect. They decided to stay near the pod for the day. Ethan set up the booster. Celia began scanning the sky, searching for passing ships. Hours passed. Nothing showed on the radar. Celia sat under a rock ledge, looking at the suns. Ethan brought her a meal pack and sat next to her. She took the food, but didn't eat right away. You're quiet, he said. She didn't look at him. I was trained for everything. War, politics, diplomacy. But not this. Not surviving on a dead moon with a man from a world I barely understand. You're doing fine, she gave him a tired smile. You saved me twice. You would have done the same for me. Maybe I'm not sure. He looked at her. Why do you hate humans? Celia's expression tightened. I don't hate you. But I grew up hearing stories. Humans were dangerous, loud, always trying to control or conquer. Our elders said you couldn't be trusted. Ethan laughed a little. Sounds like some of the things we said. About your people? She smiled softly. And maybe we are both wrong. They sat in silence for a while, the wind blowing around them. It was cold, but their closeness made it bearable. That night, back in the shelter, they warmed their hands near the fire. Celia asked, "Do you have someone waiting for you on Earth?" Ethan shook his head. No family left. No one special. Looked into the fire. Me too. I mean, I have a family, but no one I trust. No one who truly knows me. Ethan looked at her closely. I think I'm starting to. She looked up, surprised. For a moment, neither of them moved. But then the ground shook. Outside, a large creature was moving near the shelter. It had 6 legs, long spikes on its back, and glowing red eyes. Ethan grabbed his plasma tool. Stay back. The creature roared and charged. Celia stepped forward, raising her light weapon. Together, she shouted. They attacked from both sides. Ethan used fire to scare the beast. Celia shot near its legs, confusing it. After a few minutes, the creature ran off into the dark hills. They were both breathing hard. Ethan looked at her. You okay? She nodded. You. Good, she gave a short laugh. We make a good team. You finally admit it. She raised an eyebrow. Not let it go to your head. They returned inside, shaken but alive. The next day, they worked together to reinforce the shelter and connect the booster to the beacon. Now we wait, Ethan said. They sat close again, wrapped in blankets. They watched the scanner screen. Hoping for any sign of a ship, Ethan, Celia said after a long pause. If we are rescued, what will you do? Go back to work. Maybe repair some satellites. Maybe fly cargo ships. If I return to my world, I must marry someone I don't care for. Ethan looked at her. You don't want that? She shook her head. I want to choose. I want to be free. He reached out and touched her hand. You deserve that. Their eyes met again. Something heavy and warm passed between them, but she pulled her hand back slowly. This is dangerous. I know. We are too different, maybe. Still, she whispered, you make me feel safe. Ethan didn't answer. He just looked at her, truly looked at her. Not as an alien, not as a princess, but as someone real, someone important. That night, as they lay in their shelter, neither could sleep.
Oh.
Their hands touched in the dark, but they said nothing. They just stayed close. The next day, the scanner beeped. Celia rushed to the screen. It's a ship. It's picking up our signal. Ethan joined her. It's like a rescue craft from Earth Command. They will arrive. In 2 days, Ethan didn't cheer. Celia didn't smile. Instead, they sat quietly. We're going home, she said softly. Yeah. For the rest of the day, they prepared for the pickup. They packed supplies, cleaned the shelter, and tried to stay busy, but the space between them felt strange, now like something had changed. That night, Celia stood outside the shelter, looking up at the stars. Ethan walked over. Cold. She shook her head. No. Just. Thinking? About what? About the end. He stood beside her. It's not the end. It feels like it, she whispered. You'll go back to your world. I'll go to mine. She looked at him. Will you forget me? Never. She looked. Down, then up again. And you? Will you wait for me? Ethan didn't know how to answer. Everything was complicated. She was royalty. He was a technician. They lived light years apart. But deep inside, he knew the truth. I'll wait, he said. She smiled, her eyes shining. Then she turned and walked inside. Ethan followed her, heart heavy but full. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan woke up early. He opened the shelter door and stepped outside. The suns were rising slowly above the rocky hills, and the wind was calm. The rescue ship would arrive tomorrow, only 1 day left. He turned to look back at the shelter. Inside, Princess Celia was still sleeping. Her long silver blue hair lay across her shoulder. She looked peaceful, but sad. Ethan knew why. He felt the same way. They had survived this moon together. They had fought, worked, laughed, and almost died. But now the moment was near when everything would return to normal. Normal meant separate lives. Later that day, Celia joined him outside. She sat beside him on a rock and looked at the sky. "You didn't sleep much," she said. "Neither did you," Ethan replied. They sat in silence. "I dreamed about my palace last night," Celia said. The white towers, the sound of music in the halls. But it felt empty. Ethan nodded. "I used to dream about Earth too, about the oceans, but now I only see this place, the stars, the fire." She looked at him. Her golden eyes were soft, but she turned away quickly. "We have one day left," she whispered. "I know. And tomorrow I go back to my life, my people, my duty. You're a princess, and you're a human," she added, "from a world where I am not welcome." "That's not true, isn't it?" Ethan didn't answer. Couldn't argue with the truth. Their worlds were different. Their lives were planned by others, but their hearts didn't care about rules. They walked across the rocky plain that afternoon, hoping to find more parts they could give to the rescue team. They came across the edge of a crater. Inside, half covered by sand, was another escape pod badly damaged, but still intact. Ethan climbed down carefully. Celia followed. Inside the pod, they found signs of two people, an alien and a human. The logs showed they had been stranded just like Ethan and Celia, but the ending was not happy. "They didn't survive," Ethan said quietly. Celia looked at the final message on the pod screen. It was written in both languages. "We loved each other, but no one came. We died together. That was our choice." Celia stared at the words for a long time. Then she sat down, her shoulders heavy. They couldn't go back. "Maybe they didn't want to." Ethan sat beside her. "Do you think we're like them?" "I don't know, but it scares me." He turned to her. "Celia, I don't want to lose you." Her eyes met his. "Neither do I." The silence between them was loud. The emotions were real now, too strong to hide. That night, they didn't build a fire. They sat inside the shelter, close together. Celia looked at her hands. "In my world, I will be told to marry someone I do not love. He is a warlord. Cold, powerful. You deserve better." "Better isn't always allowed," she said sadly. Ethan reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. "I don't care what your world says," he said, "or what mine says. I just care about you." Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I don't want to lose this," she said. "Then don't." For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then slowly, carefully, Ethan leaned forward, and this time she didn't stop him. Their lips met softly at first. Then deeply, it was a kiss full of everything they had held back. When they pulled away, her hand stayed in his. She whispered, "We shouldn't have done that, but we needed to." Yes, they stayed like that all night, talking, holding each other. No fear, no masks, no lies, just the truth between them. The next morning, the rescue signal grew stronger. They heard the ship's engines in the sky. Dust blew across the ground as the large Earth ship landed a few meters away. Ethan and Celia stood outside the shelter. Packs ready. The ship's door opened. Medical officers came out, followed by a group of diplomats and security guards. One officer hugged Ethan. "You're alive." He thought everyone was gone. Another bowed to Celia. "Your Highness, the Empire is relieved to have you back." She gave a short nod. Her face combut, her eyes searched for Ethan's. They were both led to separate medical tents for checkups. "Princess, you'll return to Zelthar with honor," one official said. "The alliance is stronger than ever." She smiled politely, but inside, her heart was heavy. Ethan sat in his tent, drinking water. Medic told him, "You'll be debriefed soon." Then sent back to Earth's command. He nodded, but didn't feel happy. Later, stood at the landing ramp. It was time to go. Celia was about to step into the royal shuttle when she turned around. She walked straight toward Ethan, ignoring the cameras and guards. Everyone stared. She stood in front of him, eyes shining. "This is goodbye," she said. He looked at her. It doesn't have to be. I'm a princess, Ethan. My people. I don't care what they say." She smiled sadly. "But I do." He reached for her hand. "So what now?" She leaned forward and whispered, "Promise me. You'll remember the moon, the fire, the kiss. I promise." She let go of his hand and turned away. He watched her walk up the ramp, her back straight, the doors closed, the ship lifted off. Ethan stood there, feeling like a piece of his heart had just flown away. Back on Earth, Ethan returned to his job. He worked on ships again, repaired space satellites, fixed engines, but nothing felt right. He watched the news every day, hoping to see her face. Sometimes she appeared giving speeches, visiting colonies, but she never smiled the way she had on. The moon, he kept the thermal cloak she had used. He kept a small stone from the crater where they had found the broken pod, and every night he looked at the stars. On Zelthor, Celia wore royal robes again. She stood in marble halls and made decisions that affected millions. But when she was alone, she touched her lips and remembered the kiss. She remembered the human who treated her like a person, not a title. She often looked at the stars, too. One day, she walked into a council room and made a decision that shocked everyone. "I refuse the marriage agreement," she said. Gasps filled the room. "You cannot refuse." The council leader shouted, "I can, and I have. You will bring shame to the Empire." "No," she said. "I will bring change." It had been 2 months since the rescue. Ethan worked in Earth's outer colonies now. He fixed defense systems, managed cargo routes, and trained younger engineers. His hands were always busy, but his heart felt empty, no matter how many machines he couldn't fix the feeling inside him, the quiet voice that asked, what if she came back? Every night he looked at the stars and wondered where she was. Was she happy? Did she think about him? Or had she gone back to her life and forgotten the human who once held her hand on a dead moon? He didn't know. Far across the stars, Princess, Celia stood before the Zeltharian High Council. "You have broken a sacred tradition." One elder said. "Yes." Celia answered firmly. "You were promised to Warlord Vecker. Refusing him is an insult to the Empire." "I am not a gift to be given," she said, her voice calm but strong. Murmurs filled the room. "You risk civil unrest?" Celia stepped forward. "If our people fall because one princess refuses a loveless union, then we are already weak." Mother, Queen Alira, stood beside the throne. She was quiet, watching her daughter with careful eyes. Later that day, the Queen called Celia into her private garden. The sky above the palace was red and gold, and glowing birds flew between crystal. "Trees, you spoke bravely," the Queen said. "I spoke honestly." "And what will happen now?" her mother asked. "Do you think love is more important than duty?" "I don't know," Celia said softly, "but I know I cannot lie to my people, or to myself." Mother placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Then follow your truth, even if the stars turn against you." 2 weeks later, Earth and Zelthor announced a joint peace event. The royal family of Zelthor would visit Earth's capital. The first alien queen to ever step foot on the human homeworld? Ethan heard about it from a news screen in a shuttle port. His heart jumped when he saw the name, Princess Celia of House Veltari. He froze. Was it real? Was she really coming? His friend tapped his shoulder. "Hey, Cade, you okay?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yeah, just surprised." At night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling in his small bunk, then grabbed his bag and left without a word. He caught the first shuttle back to Earth. The peace event was held in the Great Sky Dome, huge glass building near Earth's Council Tower. Lights, cameras, and guards filled the place. Celia stepped out of her ship in a long silver robe. Her crown shimmered, but her face was calm and steady. The human crowd stared in awe. Some clapped, others just watched. She gave a graceful nod, then began walking through the crowd, flanked by guards. But she wasn't looking at them. She was searching for someone. Ethan arrived late. He slipped through the back of the dome, avoiding guards. He didn't belong in such a place. He wasn't an officer or diplomat, just a repairman with a worn jacket and dusty boots. But he didn't care. He only cared about seeing her then. There she was. Their eyes met across the glowing floor of the dome. Stopped walking. So did Ethan. People turned, watching the strange pause. Celia took a step forward. Then another. She broke through the line of guards and walked straight to Ethan. He stood frozen. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said softly. "I wasn't sure you'd want me to." "I never stopped wanting that," she said. He smiled. "A little, neither did I. You should have sent a message." "I didn't think a princess would answer. I would have answered yours," she whispered. For a moment, the entire room disappeared. There were no guards, no cameras, no kings, no queens. Just a human and an alien who had once survived the stars together. Celia looked at the humans around them. Then she looked at Ethan, and she reached out and took his hand. Gasps filled the room. Someone whispered, "What is she doing?" Ethan whispered back, "Are you sure?" Celia raised her voice, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This man saved my life. He stood beside me in the darkest place in the galaxy. He risked everything and never asked for anything." The Queen of Zelthor stood up slowly in the back of the room, watching. Celia continued, "I do not care if he is human. I do not care about old laws. I will not let fear decide for me. I will choose him freely." There was silence, deep and long. Then, to everyone's shock, the Queen gave a small smile and nodded. No one said a word, but the message was clear. Hours later, Ethan and Celia walked together under Earth's sky, away from the crowd, away from the noise. They sat on a quiet bench near a fountain. "You really told the galaxy about us?" Ethan said. "I didn't plan it," she said. "But when I saw you again, nothing else mattered." He looked at her. "What happens now?" "I don't know," she said. "But for once, I don't care about the future. You'll face pressure, judgment. I faced worse alone. I can face anything with you." He reached out and held her hand again. "You don't need a crown to rule, Celia," he said. "You just need your heart." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then let's rule this moment. Just us." The stars above seemed closer now. The same stars that once watched over them when they were cold, scared, and nearly lost on a dead moon. Now, they watched over something new, something born not from duty, from choice. Back in the Sky Dome, officials and leaders argued, "Is this allowed? Can a human be seen beside the princess? What will the Empire say?" But the Queen spoke only one thing. If peace is to be real, it must begin in the heart. And no one dared argue with her that night. Celia stood on a balcony overlooking Earth's lights. Ethan stood behind her, arms around her waist. She smiled, and for the first time in a long while, the smile was real. "You still remember the moon?" she asked. "Every second of it. Then don't let me go. Never." A soft breeze moved through the Earth's royal guest gardens. Flowers from many planets had been planted, their Earth's roses, Zeltharian sunblooms, Martian moss, and more. The sky was turning orange as evening approached. Princess Celia walked slowly between the garden paths, her eyes calm but thoughtful. Her long silver blue dress moved with the wind. In her hand, she held a small stone, the same one she had picked up from the moon where she and Ethan had been stranded. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Ethan walked toward her with a smile. He was no longer wearing his repair jacket. Today, he wore a dark, formal suit. Still simple, but clean, respectful, and fitting. "Too quiet here," he said, stopping beside her. "I like the quiet," she replied. "Reminds me of the nights." "On that moon?" Ethan nodded. "No politics, no cameras, just firelight and two people trying not to freeze." She smiled, and failing to resist each other. They stood side by side for a moment, looking at the sky. "You're leaving soon, aren't you?" Ethan asked. "Yes," Celia said. "The council demands I return. They've allowed time, but not forever. And what do you want?" I want more time. I want freedom. I want." She looked at him. "You." He didn't answer right away. His hands were in his pockets. I want you to want to hold you back." "You won't," she said. "You've already helped me. Move forward." They walked together to a stone bench under a glowing tree. They sat down, and Celia leaned slightly against his shoulder. "Do you remember when I told you I had to marry someone I didn't care for?" she asked. Double quotes. "Yes, I hated. Hearing that? Well, I don't have to anymore." The Queen canceled the agreement. "I'm free to choose." Ethan looked surprised. "And you'd choose me? Is that even a question?" she teased. He chuckled. "I'm just a mechanic from Earth. And I'm a princess who nearly died eating poisonous fruit." She replied, "Titles mean nothing when the cold bites you." They laughed, and the tension faded. Then Celia grew serious. "But there's a problem, Ethan." "What?" "Our lives are still far apart, and my people won't accept me living on Earth. And I can't ask you to come live in a palace on Zelthor, where you'll be treated like a stranger." Ethan sighed. "Yeah, I've been thinking about that too." She looked at him. "So what do we do?" Ethan stood and walked a few steps forward. Then he turned and looked at her. "We make something new." Celia raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "A new life, a new path. One where we're not tied to either world. You and I, together, out there." "You mean leave both our planets?" "Yes," he said. "Let's go to the stars again, not as a rescue mission, but as royalty or crew, just as us." Celia stood slowly, heart pounding. "You'd do that?" "I already survived a moon with you. I'm pretty sure I can handle a spaceship and a few stars." She stepped closer, smiling. "That is the most ridiculous and romantic thing I've ever heard." He took her hands. "Then let's do it." 3 days later, the world watched as Princess Celia made a surprising announcement. Standing before the cameras with Queen Alira beside her, she spoke clearly and proudly. "I am grateful for Earth's hospitality. I am proud to see peace grow between our species, but I have chosen a different path." The crowd waited, silent. "I am leaving the palace, not out of shame, not out of duty, but for freedom. I will travel the stars as a diplomat without borders, and I will not travel alone." Ethan stepped onto the platform beside her. "I will go with him, because I believe peace begins not in the hands of kings, but in the hearts of those brave, enough to love beyond borders." There was silence for a moment. Then the Queen of Zelthor stepped forward and smiled. "If this is her choice," the Queen said, "then let it be a royal mission of the heart." The cameras flashed. Rushed to spread the story. Alien princess leaves crown behind for a human. First royal interplanetary couple begins new journey. From stranded to starbound, their love defied all laws. A week later, a private exploration ship launched from Earth's orbit. Celia and Ethan stood inside the command room together. The ship wasn't fancy, but it was strong and fast-built for long travel. It had been a gift from both worlds, a symbol of peace, and a home for two souls who had found each other in the coldest part of the galaxy. As the stars blurred around them, Celia placed a small case on the table. "What's that?" Ethan asked. She opened it. Inside was the moonstone, the same one she had kept since their crash. "A memory," she said, "where it all began." He touched the stone gently, and this, he said, showing her a small pendant, "is a circuit piece from the beacon you fixed. Without it, we'd still be stuck there." She smiled. "We were already stuck there in each other's hearts." He leaned forward and kissed her forehead. No regrets. Not even one. Months passed. They traveled from station to station, planet to planet, not as princess and engineer, but as partners. Celia gave talks about understanding between species. Ethan taught young engineers how to fix ships, and think beyond borders. Together, they told their story. About the crash, the cold nights, the fear, the laughter, and the love that survived everything. Some people didn't accept it. Some still whispered behind their backs. But more and more people, human and alien alike, began to believe. If a human and an alien princess could find peace in the middle of nowhere, then maybe peace was possible for the whole galaxy. One evening, as their ship orbited a glowing planet, Ethan walked into the viewing room and found Celia standing at the glass. "Wall? Thinking again?" he asked. "Always," she said. He came up beside her and wrapped an arm around her waist. "I've been thinking too," he said. "Oh, we've traveled far, made speeches, met people, told our story." He turned her toward him. "Think we should write a new story now?" She looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" He took a small black box from his jacket. Her eyes widened. "You're not serious," she whispered. "I'm very serious." He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, silver, but it glowed softly with Zeltharian crystal. "I can't give you a crown," he said, "but I can give you forever." Tears filled her golden eyes. "I don't need a crown," she said. "I only need you." She took the ring and placed it on her finger. They kissed under the stars. The galaxy didn't change in one day, but it changed, slowly, because of them. Final scene, years later. A group of young students from different planets sat inside a space classroom. A teacher showed a video on the screen. It was an old message from two people, one human, one alien standing together on a moon. They looked tired, dirty, and cold, but they were smiling this. The teacher said was how it started. Peace didn't begin in war rooms or palaces. It began when two people from different worlds stopped seeing each other as enemies, started seeing each other as equals. The students watched in silence. Some of them had blue skin, some had green. Some had none, but all of them understood, because love, real love, is the strongest language in the universe.